Hi there, Physically Debunked here, and first things first, thank you to everyone who supported the channel so far. Since the last video we reached 100 subscribers, which is pretty cool. It's a nice milestone, and I hope it won't be the last. Today in this video I'm going to return to my area of expertise, cosmology, where I'm going to be tackling some common misconceptions about the Big Bang Theory. Being the theory of our cosmic origins, the Big Bang Theory is intimately tied to the biggest questions of human existence. It impacts our understanding of how we got here, why we're here, and what it means to be human. Because of its importance, some people misrepresent what the Big Bang Theory actually says, using its status to push their own agendas. Here are 5 misconceptions about the Big Bang Theory which aren't supported by the science. Number 1. The Big Bang was an explosion. Unfortunately, a name that was originally coined to ridicule the theory ended up being the name that stuck. Attributed to the somewhat notorious physicist Fred Hoyle, the term Big Bang makes it sound as if the theory is about some initial cosmic explosion that somehow caused everything we see around us to exist. Obviously, this sounds ridiculous, and it's no wonder that people already can't take the theory seriously. The truth is, however, that the name has very little to do with the content of the theory. In a normal explosion, matter and energy fly away from an initial location in a very disorderly fashion. The Big Bang, however, was nothing like this. For a start, it's not the case that matter is being thrown out from some initial central location. It's not objects which are moving away from each other, it's the regions between things, space-time itself, which is expanding and pushing things apart. Also, unlike an explosion, the Big Bang was not a disorderly event. The universe we see around us today is in fact far more disordered than it was at the time of the Big Bang 13 billion years ago. This is because of the second law of thermodynamics, which says that the total entropy, or loosely the disorder in the universe, must always increase. What this means is that the entropy in the past must have been much lower than it is today, meaning that the universe at the time of the Big Bang was incredibly ordered. People often question how such a seemingly ordered universe with complex biological organisms could have resulted from some chaotic initial explosion. But the fact is that the universe today is far less ordered than it used to be. We are the disorderly products of a very ordered Big Bang. Number 2. The Big Bang was a miracle. There has only been one Big Bang we know of. It's also the case that this Big Bang seems to possess features finely tuned for the existence of life. Because of this, some people think that this is clear evidence that the Big Bang was a miracle, and that there's no way that a universe fit for life could have formed naturally. The trouble with this view is that it makes 2 dodgy assumptions. First, that our Big Bang was the only one that ever occurred, and second, that it's too unlikely that natural processes could produce a life-permitting universe. The Big Bang that produced our universe is likely to be the only event of its kind that we'll ever be able to investigate. But that doesn't mean it was the only one. There are plenty of cosmological models which involve multiple universes and multiple Big Bang events. All of these are currently speculative, but also there's no good reason to think that our Big Bang was the only one that occurred in all reality. With regards to the second assumption, I've already talked a fair bit about fine-tuning fallacies in a previous video. Here I'll just say that although there are certain constants involved in the Big Bang Theory that do need to take very precise values for life to exist, there's currently no way of turning this into a likelihood. The values of these constants are currently unexplained in the theory. To understand why they take the values they do, and whether they could have taken any different values, we need a quantum theory of gravity, or possibly an even more fundamental theory. To summarise, if the Big Bang was the only event of its kind, and no fundamental theory could explain why the constants take life-permitting values, then perhaps one could call the Big Bang a miracle. At the present time, however, we don't have any reason to believe either of these things. Number 3. The Big Bang Theory says that nothing created the entire universe. This is simply not true. The Big Bang Theory makes no claims about what existed right at the singularity. The Big Bang Theory is an excellent theory and tells us all about the universe right up until a fraction of a second after the Big Bang. But don't let this short time fool you into thinking that it tells us everything. Beyond what's known as the electroweak unification time, the Big Bang Theory tells us nothing about what's going on, and there could be a hell of a lot going on past this point. There are suspicions about what may lie beyond this time, such as strings for example, but all these ideas are speculative. What generated the particles and the fundamental forces we see around us today is unknown. This doesn't mean that the Big Bang Theory says that nothing created these things, it just means there's more to the story which we're yet to discover. On a side note, it's true that some physicists hypothesize that the sum total energy of the universe is in fact zero, and so conjecture that nothing could have created the entire universe. But this is just speculation. This isn't what the Big Bang Theory says. It's an interesting idea, but the Big Bang Theory doesn't support or deny this claim. The fact is, until we get a quantum theory of gravity, or perhaps an even more fundamental theory, we won't be able to say with any certainty what there was at the beginning of the universe. Which brings me on to number 4. The Big Bang was the beginning of all physical reality. First of all, this isn't necessarily a misconception. It could well be true that the Big Bang was the beginning of all physical reality. There's no reason it couldn't be. What is a misconception, though, is that the Big Bang Theory itself claims that the Big Bang is the origin of all physical reality. All the Big Bang Theory tells us is how the laws of physics as we know them produced the universe that we see today, beginning with the point in time at which these laws actually worked. Too close to the singularity, and these laws of physics break down, and so consequently the Big Bang Theory has nothing to say about physical reality before a certain point in time. When our laws break down, it's anyone's guess as to what happens next. Perhaps space and time break down into more fundamental things. If this is the case, then would the term beginning even make sense in such a regime where there was no time? These are fascinating things to think about, but there are no good answers yet. For now, what we can say is that the Big Bang was a beginning of our current cosmic era, but whether this is the only era and whether this is the only cosmos is still to be discovered. Number 5. The Big Bang needs a cause. Intuitively, this seems like a reasonable request. If the Big Bang was an event that occurred, then surely it needs a cause. Every event has a cause. The problem with this, though, is that there's no good reason to suppose that the logic of cause and effect works in such an extreme environment as the Big Bang singularity. Is the Big Bang an event that needs a cause? Let's take the physicist's definition of what an event is. To a physicist, an event is just a point in space-time. But as we've already discussed, close to the Big Bang singularity, the laws of physics as we know them break down, and it's strongly suspected that classical space-time breaks down too. If this is the case, then the Big Bang can't even be called an event, because there was no space-time for the Big Bang to be a point in. Let's also take a look at causation. How does causation work? Generally, causation is considered to be a temporal concept. It relies on time. If an event has a cause, then the cause occurred before the event, or at least simultaneously with it. But at the Big Bang singularity, if time is broken down, then there's no time at which the cause for the Big Bang could have taken place. Now, it could be the case that some sort of law of cause and effect does hold at the Big Bang singularity, but we really just don't know. Trying to apply primitive, intuitive ideas of causation, however, to such an unknown environment is at best speculative and probably just meaningless. There you have it then. These were 5 misconceptions about the Big Bang Theory. I hope you have a better understanding of what the theory does and doesn't say, and see that there are many exciting mysteries that the singularity itself could still hold. If there are any other misconceptions you think are often made about the theory, do comment them below. Otherwise, as always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more physics, cosmology, atheism, and stuff.